The Pulley, a poem by George Herbert. This is the poem, The Pulley. When God at first made man, having a glass of blessings standing by, let us, said he, pour on him all we can, let the world's riches which dispersed lie contract into a span. So strength first made a way, then beauty flowed, then wisdom, honor, pleasure. When almost all was out, God made a stay, perceiving that, alone of all his treasure, rest in the bottom lay. For if I should, said he, bestow this jewel also on my creature, he would adore my gifts instead of me, and rest in nature, not the God of nature. So both should losers be. Yet let him keep the rest, but keep them with repining restlessness. Let him be rich and weary, that at least, if goodness lead him not, yet weariness may toss him to my breast. So this is the poem, The Pulley by George Herbert. First of all, the title of the poem, The Pulley. A pulley is a device with which you pull something down. By pulling down, you lift something. It's a device with which by pulling down, you lift something. It is something that you use to draw something closer towards you. Pull something closer towards you. That is the poem. So let us venture into an analysis of the poem, The Pulley. Stanzas 1 and 2. First, stanza 1. The Pulley is a religious poem. You know that George Herbert was a religious poet. So this is a religious and metaphysical poem. So in the poem, Herbert wants to unveil the truth that why human beings are so restless in spite of having all the things that we want, or all the things that human beings want, they are still unsatisfied. So Herbert delves into an analysis of the reason for this. So this poem is built around the conceit. So you know what a conceit is. It is a drawn metaphor. So this is built around the conceit of imagining God in the process of making human beings. The poet imagines God in the process of making human beings. So in the beginning, it has echoes of the story of creation. The story of creation in the opening of the Bible, the first chapter of the book of Genesis. Book of Genesis. That is the first book of the Hebrew Bible. The Christian Bible has two sections, the Old Testament and the New Testament. So the speaker starts by stating that he's retelling the story of creation. When God at first made man, having a glass of blessings standing by, let us, said he, pour on him all we can, let the world's riches which dispersed lie contract into a span. The poet imagines God adding different qualities to this new creation. God is in the process of making man. Just like a cook pours the ingredients to make a delicious um, um, a delicacy or a delicious food item. So what God was thinking, the poet attempts to analyze what God was thinking and feeling when he decided to make humanity. So God is a generous creator. All his blessings, all the world's riches are given to humankind. Let us pour on him all we can. So there's a glass of blessings standing by. So it is um, reachable to God. So everything is reachable to God. Everything is available to God. All the world's riches which are dispersed contract into a span. And after the second stanza, so strength first made a way, then beauty flowed, then wisdom, honor, pleasure. When almost all was out, God made a stay, perceiving that alone of all his treasure, rest in the bottom lay. After God made this universe, he gathered all the blessings of the world in a glass, and he is distributing them to the human beings one after the other. First, he gave the strength. Therefore, human beings can become more strong, strong enough to survive. One by one, God gave them the beauty, wisdom, honor, pleasure, and many other blessings. When almost all was out, God made a stay. God paused. So the first of the blessings that came to humanity was strength. It made a way. Next came beauty, followed by wisdom, honor, and lastly, pleasure. See, look at the order in which God blessed human beings with all this strength, beauty, wisdom, honor, and then at last came pleasure. These are all incredibly important parts of the human experience. Then when almost all was out, God made a stay. God paused, perceiving that alone of all his treasure, what lies in the bottom? Rest. He paused before he gifted human beings with rest. So, rest is a blessing. It is equal to beauty and strength. It is not something that one might immediately think of as a feature of life that can be given or granted. Do we think of rest as a feature or as a gift? No, but here in this poem, in this narrative, it is the treasure that remains at the bottom of God's cup. And God chooses not to give it to humanity. Why? So, rest in the Christian tradition is one of God's gifts. In Matthew chapter 11, verse 28. Chapter 11, verse 28, and that Jesus says, "Come to me, all that are weary and carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest." So, rest is used as a picture of the destiny God promises to those who walk in His way. Whoever walks on the way of God will achieve rest. It is a precious jewel. When almost all was done, God kept rest at the bottom of the glass, thinking that if rest is given, both should losers be. It is both God and human beings will be losers. So God pauses before he adds this final gift. He chose to withhold the ability to rest from humankind. Because when they get all they want, in a sense of sufficiency, they become satiated, they become full, they become content. So when that state is achieved, they may forget God. So if He gives this, if He gives rest to people, they may forget God. Stanzas 3 and 4. What will happen if He gives rest to human beings? For if I should, said He, bestow this jewel also on my creature, he would adore my gifts instead of me, and rest in nature, not the God of nature. So both should losers be. Thus, if He gives rest to people, people may adore God's gifts instead of God. Thus, when human beings get rest, they forget God and they take rest. So, as a result, God will lose the love and affection of human beings. And when rest is given, people will lose strength, honor, wisdom, beauty, and all the other gifts which God bestowed on him. Because all the other human capacities will be lost when they attain rest. It is God knows that man by birth is prone to lethargy. Lethargy meaning being content, being not being active. So they will get rest at the cost of progress. It is said that progress and rest never come together. We get progress by losing rest, or we get rest by losing progress. We get one losing the other. So God is sure that man will only praise the things God has given to them and not God Himself. So mankind will lose their essence. They get tired and they wander in search of rest. That is when human beings achieve everything else. When they get wisdom, glory, pleasure, strength, everything, they finally will want to rest. And if that rest is also gifted to human beings, they will rest and they will forget God. So Herbert here states that God did not want humanity to love nature more than they love the God of nature. God is the one who created nature, right? So the speaker, the poet, assumes that God did not want humanity to love nature more than they love God. The final stanza, yet let him keep the rest, but keep them with repining restlessness. Let him be rich and weary, that at least if goodness lead him not, yet weariness may toss him to my breast. Because here there's a pun on the word rest. In the second stanza, rest means uh, relax or repose. But here, rest means the remaining, the remainder. So he starts the final verse with a pun on the word rest. Thus here, rest means what is left, remainder. So Herbert gives two reasons behind human beings going to God. Why they go to God. First, they will go to God out of goodness. Let him be rich and weary, that at least if goodness does not lead him to God. Thus one reason is out of goodness, faith or divine emotions or loyalty towards God. Secondly, if they do not go to God out of the first cause, that is out of goodness, they will go to Him when they are tired. Yet weariness may toss him to my breast. If they don't go to God out of goodness, then weariness will take him to God. Weariness takes human beings to the shadow of God. So for the sake of rest, we will always run from here to there. That is why the God has decided to keep mankind away from rest, so as to make him feel that eternal rest can only be found in God. So at least for the sake of rest, man will remember God and go to Him for God's love and rest and care. The repining restlessness or the discontentment with worldly things, that is the materialistic things, will finally lead man to God. So what will we do if we have infinite amount of money or wealth? At some point of time, people will get tired of that also, will get tired of wealth, will get tired of money and fame. So at that point, everybody will seek rest. So they will get discontent with worldly things, and finally they will go towards God. So God wanted man to discover the real rest, the real rest which can only be received from God. God alone can truly give the mankind the rest they seek frantically. Human beings are both richly endowed, but they are at the same time they are weary, they are dissatisfied, they are tired of what they have. And because of this weariness, they get tossed, they fling themselves into God's embrace. Just like a child, an unhappy child wanting to be hugged, a child flinging itself into its mother's or father's arms to be caressed, to be hugged, to feel the warmth. So the poem, the pulley, is a kind of power. In the mechanical point of view, it is a device which is used to lift the object on the other end. And in the poem, the pulley is a power, a kind of power that operates. to bring human beings towards God, to pull human beings towards God. So here the pulley that the God uses is rest. The rest that God keeps with him is the pulley, is the leverage that draws mankind towards God. That is a metaphysical conceit. Just two different, what is a conceit? Two different objects are forcefully compared. It is a pulley and rest. Two entirely different things are forcefully brought together and compared. And that comparison continues throughout the poem. That's a metaphysical conceit. One object is from physics, that is pulley, and the other is from pure religion, that is God. So the relationship of man and God is compared with the pulley. That is metaphorical. It is a metaphysical conceit. To pull mankind back to God, back to his origin, God keeps man away from rest. So restlessness is like a device which God uses to pull mankind to himself. So that is the poem, The Pulley by George Herbert.